Nigeria's government has meanwhile retracted its announcement indicating another Chibok girl was free from Boko Haram captivity. The presidency had said that the teenager was picked up by the military after fleeing from Boko Haram jihadists. However, Laolu Akande, spokesperson for the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, later tweeted that the girl was a junior secondary school student from Chibok community and was not part of the 219 abductees. The hashtag Bring Back Our Girls group, which has been campaigning for the release of the girls, also said the girl's name was not in their records. They continue to campaign for the girls' release, saying they look forward to the return of all abductees. Boko Haram has kidnapped thousands of young women and girls during its 8-year insurgency aimed at establishing a hardline Islamic state in northeast Nigeria. Well, let's get you more details on this story now from CGTN's Deji Badmus. He's standing by live for us in Lagos, Nigeria. Deji, do we have any clarity at this stage on the identity and perhaps even the fate of this girl who had earlier been reported to be one of the kidnapped Chibok girls?
Well, certainly, Lindy, there is a comprehensive clarity now on the identity of this girl. The presidency, as you've been reporting, has identified her as a 15-year-old who was she was a student of the same school where the over 200 girls were taken 3 years ago. But then at the time, she was not in the senior secondary school. She was actually in junior secondary school. So she was not among those kidnapped by Boko Haram at the time. We still do not know when exactly she was kidnapped, but she was actually taken by Boko Haram, and of course has now regained her freedom, and we understand she's now with the other 82 girls who were freed in Abuja. And of course, as you've been reporting, the Bring Back Our Girls group have also confirmed that she's not one of the missing Chibok girls, but that they are happy that she is free, and that they are also expectant that the remaining 113 girls would be freed eventually.
Indeed. Well, of course, it is good news either way. But of course, Deji, whether she's not part of the Chibok girls, but perhaps this girl points to the fact that there are many others that have been kidnapped by Boko Haram over the years.
Absolutely. I mean, quite a number. We do not know the exact number, but as a matter of fact, what we know is that that number might even be higher than the remaining Chibok girls who are missing. As a matter of fact, probably higher than the number that were taken by Boko Haram in that school back in April 3 years ago. Unfortunately, Lindy, the release of these girls, or the escape of this girl, I mean, this one girl now we're talking about, is actually not turning the spotlight now on the other missing people, or the other people who have been abducted by Boko Haram. The focus is still very much on the missing Chibok girls, and we do not see the Bring Back Our Girls campaign group, for instance, you know, going on an all-out campaign now to for the release of all the people who might have been abducted now by Boko Haram. So the focus is still very much on the missing Chibok girls, and of course the government saying it will do everything it can to ensure that they are released. Of course, the government has said not just the Chibok girls, but that everybody taken by of course Boko Haram. But of course, we know that the focus is still on the missing Chibok girls.
Well, it seems the Chibok girls really just struck a chord in the hearts of many around the world and drew so much attention. And of course, many celebrated when recently just 82 girls were brought back by the Nigerian government in an exchange with Boko Haram. But what's happened to those girls since? Have they yet been reunited with their families?
Not exactly. They've not been reunited with their families. What we understand will happen, we understand that reunification will take place sometime this week, that the parents of the girls will be brought to Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, to meet with them. What we understand the government is trying to do is the government has actually sent out the pictures of these girls now to the parents back home in Chibok. So just for these parents now to identify the girls, to identify and be certain that their girls are among those who have actually returned before they will now be transported to Abuja, where they will meet with the girls. So we expect that to happen sometime this week, maybe tomorrow or the day after. That's what the government has said. But at the moment, of course, they are still they are still at that facility of the secret police in this country. We understand they are undergoing different kind of psychotherapy sessions. They are being taken care of by psychologists, and that they are being given vocational training as well. And then the government is also planning to send them back to school by the beginning of September this year now, when the new school session begins. Of course, the government saying for those of them who may not be willing to go back to school, it will do everything to ensure that they take up to vocational training, and probably take up to any trade at all they might want to take up.
All right, well, thanks very much for that update. Deji Badmus live for us there in Lagos, Nigeria.